All right, everybody, welcome back for another deep dive. You ready to get into it today?
Absolutely. I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, this one is all about the psychology of money. We are going to be talking about Morgan Housel's book, The Psychology of Money, and we're also going to be pulling from a podcast episode that he did that's a companion to the book.
Excellent.
So we got a lot of really interesting ground to cover. And I think the main takeaway I'm hoping we all come away with today is this idea that there's this really kind of surprising thought that getting rich and staying rich might be two totally different skill sets.
Yeah, that's one of the big takeaways from the book. I think it's a really important one.
It's a really fascinating idea. So, without further ado, let's just dive right in.
Sounds good.
So the whole idea here is that financial success, really, it's not just about crunching the numbers or having some secret investing formula.
Yeah, it goes way beyond that.
Yeah.
The book really emphasizes that it's very much tied to our own psychology. Like how we think about money and how we behave with money really makes a huge difference.
That's so interesting. 'Cause, I think a lot of people, when they think about personal finance, they think okay, I just need to find the right budget. I need to find the right investments. But it sounds like what you're saying is that's not the whole picture.
Definitely not. I think we can all relate to this in some way. Like money is very emotional. It's tied to our personal experiences, our upbringing, our own biases. All of that plays a role in how we handle money.
Right. And that makes total sense. I mean, you think about it, two people could have the exact same income,
Hmm.
right? One person could be a millionaire, the other person could be in debt up to their eyeballs.
Hmm.
It's really about how they are managing their money and the decisions they are making.
Exactly. It's a perfect example of how two people with the same resources can end up in completely different places financially. And a lot of it boils down to that mindset.
Okay, so let's go back to this idea of getting rich versus staying rich. You mentioned that they might be two totally different skill sets. So
Yeah.
break that down for me. What does that actually look like?
Sure. So getting rich, often that involves taking some risks,
Right.
right? Being willing to hustle, being willing to put yourself out there, seizing opportunities. But staying rich, that kind of requires a shift in gears. You need to cultivate a different set of skills.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What kind of skills are we talking about here?
So some of the key ones that Housel highlights are things like patience. You gotta have patience. Humility is really important. And also the ability to resist that temptation to constantly upgrade your lifestyle, what we often call lifestyle inflation.
Oh, lifestyle inflation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big one. I think we've all felt that. I know I definitely have. You get a raise or you get a bonus and suddenly you feel like, oh, I can afford this bigger house or this nicer car.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah.
very easy to fall into that trap. It's almost like you're on autopilot.
Yeah.
Your income goes up and your expenses just naturally seem to follow suit.
Right. It's like keeping up with the Joneses or something.
Exactly. And Housel gives a really compelling example in the book that illustrates this point. He talks about Ronald Reed.
Ronald Reed. Okay, I'm not familiar.
So Ronald Reed was a janitor, and he lived a very simple life. But when he died, he had amassed a fortune of $8 million.
Wait a minute. Hold on. A janitor. $8 million. How is that even possible?
It's an amazing story, right? So Ronald Reed, he was very frugal. He invested consistently over decades, and he let the power of compounding work its magic.
Okay. You're going to have to explain this compounding thing to me because that sounds like some kind of financial sorcery.
I know, right? It's kind of like a superpower. It's the idea that your investment returns earn their own returns over time.
Okay.
So even small, consistent investments held for the long term can grow exponentially. It's like a snowball rolling downhill. It just gets bigger and bigger.
Wow. So Ronald Reed's story is like a perfect example of those staying rich skills, right?
Yeah.
Like patience, long-term mindset.
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head. And Housel goes on to talk about 3 key habits that we can all cultivate to really embrace this mindset.
Oh, wait, lay it on me. What are the habits?
Habit number 1, saving consistently. And not just saving for like a specific goal, like a down payment on a house or a vacation, but saving just for the sake of saving, to build flexibility and freedom in your life.
Okay, so it's more about just having that cushion, having that security.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about knowing that you have options, knowing that you're not living paycheck to paycheck. It gives you a sense of control.
That makes sense. All right, what's habit number 2?
Number 2, resisting lifestyle creep. We talked about this before, right?
Okay.
It's about making a conscious choice to live below your means, even as your income grows.
So it's like actively fighting against that urge to upgrade everything every time you get a little bit more money.
Exactly. And this is so crucial because it allows you to invest more of your money,
Yeah.
which then allows you to take advantage of that compounding effect we talked about.
It's almost like you're playing a different game, right? It's not about showing off what you have. It's about building wealth quietly and steadily over time.
Yeah, I love that analogy. It's like you're playing the long game. You're not trying to get rich quick. You're trying to build something sustainable, something that will last.
Okay, I'm sold. What's the third habit?
This one's really important, playing the long game with investments. And this ties back to patience and compounding. It's about thinking in decades, not days.
Decades, not days.
I like that. Yeah, it's about riding out the market fluctuations, not panicking when things go down, and letting your investments grow steadily over the long term.
So it's about trusting the process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about having faith that over time the market will go up and your investments will grow.
This whole conversation has really been eye-opening for me. I think the biggest takeaway for me is that our behavior is so much more important than our income when it comes to building long-term wealth.
I completely agree. It's a really powerful realization, and it leads to an interesting question. If our money mindset is so crucial, where do our money habits and beliefs come from?
Ooh, that is a good question.
Yeah, it's something to ponder, right? Do they come from our early experiences, our
Mhm.
family influences, our culture?
Mhm.
It's worth exploring that as you continue on your own personal finance journey.
I love that. And on that note, I think we'll wrap up this deep dive. So much to think about. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and happy diving.
Happy diving.